Good morning, Comms Club. Time for day 8 of our 12 days of Commsmas. We're on the home stretch, and today I wanted to offer you a suggestion. If you are one of those people who is desperate to have an important and slightly awkward conversation with someone that you care about, and you don't have that conversation because you just don't want to embrace the awkwardness of it. And you are not alone. If this describes you, then you are not alone in not wanting to start those awkward conversations. So I have a top tip for you, a swift top tip that you can consider using this season. Now, at this time of year in particular, we find ourselves often in situations we don't want to be in. We don't want to go to the mother-in-laws again. We don't want everybody to come to our house on Christmas Eve. We don't want to do this. We'd rather not do that. We really wish we didn't have to go here, see that person, or do that. But sometimes we feel trapped with an inability to challenge the norm for fear of many things. Sometimes to suggest something doesn't happen or we do something different means that we worry about how the person that we're going to have this conversation will respond. We worry about upsetting them. We worry about causing offence. We worry about creating an atmosphere. And a lot of the time it's because we cannot predict how they will feel at our suggestion. And therefore, because we can't predict something, we build a conspiracy theory of our own. Now, if you think about what a conspiracy theory is, it's simply pieces of information with gaps in between. So there are some factual moments and the rest is unknown. And what we do is we join up our own dots to make a story that we think is true. So we assume that the people that make us go to these gatherings, the people that we socialise with, want to be in these situations because that's the story we've told ourselves. Because the fact is, we always get together at Christmas Eve. It's always at your house. It's always the same people. So we assume between those pieces of factual information that everybody wants to do that. Everybody's up for it. Everyone looks forward to it. And nobody would want to do anything different. The trouble is, the story we tell ourselves is not always true. And if you want to challenge the norm and have an awkward or uncomfortable conversation this season, then here's a top tip I would suggest for you. Rather than approaching the subject with a description of what you want, how about considering what would happen if you turned the table and you found out how someone else feels as the first introduction to this conversation? So instead of saying to somebody, look, I need to talk to you because I don't want to go to your mum's house on Boxing Day because I don't enjoy the tension there. I don't think she likes me. And actually, I'm tired. And on Boxing Day, I just want to unwind. Instead of starting what might feel like an awkward conversation with something about you, why don't you consider a different approach by asking a question of the other person so that they are the first person who is revealing their feelings about this situation, not you. So instead of saying, I don't want to go to your mother-in-law, your mother's on Boxing Day, why don't you say, how would you feel about going to your mum's on Boxing Day on your own this year? Now, what you've done in opening the discussion with a question, how would you feel about going on your own this year to your mum's? Doesn't say, I don't want to go. It allows you to get an insight into the other person's perspective. And you just might find that they go, I don't mind. I'm easy. I don't really want to go either, but I feel like we ought to. Why don't you want to come with me? And then you get to have the discussion, but the other person has revealed their feelings about a topic before you have had to display yours. And that allows you to frame your opinion, your thoughts, your feelings in a way to minimise the risk of upset, offence, tension. So if the person said to you, well, I wouldn't mind, it wouldn't be my preference, but I'm not bothered either way, I'm happy to go on my own, then that takes the conversation down one route. If you were to say to someone, how do you feel about going to your mum's on your own this year on Boxing Day? If the response is, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Like, there's no way I'd want to go without you. I want to be with you on Boxing Day. And my mum loves spending time with you. Then that person's revealed their feelings on the subject, and you might think, okay, this one is not worth negotiating on, or actually I hadn't realised they felt that strongly, so I'm not going to pursue it. Sometimes we find out that actually the other person feels the same way as us. They just didn't know how to broach it, and we didn't know how to broach it. So we repeat patterns because nobody really knows how to start the conversation. And when you make the conversation start less about how you feel and more about a question to find out how the other person feels, the conversation will land much better. So let's think of another scenario. If you've got a group of mutual friends that you always go to the pub with on Christmas Eve, and there's someone that you would like to invite to come along, instead of saying, would you be, how would you feel about ... Why don't you say, how open would you be if I wanted to invite Louise to come with us? How open would you be to, not going to the Queen's Head this year, to going to the Manor Farm instead? How open would you be if we held, Christmas Eve at our house instead of going to the pub? How open would you be to? Now, instantly, that will get you traction because the person will think, well, am I open to it? Nobody likes to think they're not open to suggestions. So normally, psychologically and subconsciously, someone will go, well, yeah, I'm open to it. I'm not sure I want us to have the get-together at our house instead of at the pub, but yeah, I'm open to, inviting Louise, or I'm open to changing the venue. So there's always different ways to ask good questions which reveal someone's perspective, someone's views, someone's feelings on a subject before you drop the bomb that is how you feel about a situation. Another fantastic question, one of my favourites, and if you've done any work with me, listen to any of my other content, then you will know my favourite question in the world is, what would it take? Rather than, why don't you want to go up and have a shower every night, my little teenage child, instead of saying, what would it take for you to want to go and have a shower the first time I ask you? What would it take to mean that I can open that bank account by Monday? What would it take to mean that that parcel gets delivered to, to my cousin on Tuesday? What would it take? Rather than saying to someone, I need that parcel delivered on Tuesday, which is how you feel, you ask a question, what would it take? What would need to happen for that parcel to get there on Tuesday? Then automatically the person reveals how they feel, what the options are. You've automatically reframed it into something that is possible. It's not impossible, and they are on your side rather than at loggerheads with you about it. So when you have these awkward conversations, start them with a question, and then you'll get a window into the world of the other person, and that allows you to decide whether you are going to pursue change or the topic, or actually right now it's not worth talking about. So don't hold back from challenging tradition, because the story you might find everyone is telling themselves is that they all wish they were doing something different, but none of you quite know how to broach the subject. So take the focus from you, put it on them, see how they feel, and make your decision from there. And if you're going to go in, lead with a question, not a statement about how you feel. That is today's top tip. So go forth, embrace the awkwardness like a professional, and I guarantee that you are likely to have a far more positive and informed conversation than if you worked yourself up and you just dropped a little bomb and walked away. Okay, have a lovely day. I will see you back here tomorrow for day 9. Bye for now.